What up, world? It's your boy Odd, here with the homie Clue, back at you again with another hooligan review.
Yo, what's up?
Today, we gonna be covering this Netflix movie called Spaceman. It's a Adam Sandler flick where he travels into space to investigate this anomaly and his wife trying to divorce him and blase. So we're gonna get right into it. Clue, I'm gonna start this off if that's cool with you.
Yeah, get it blowing.
All right, so the movie starts off in this like dream sequence, which definitely sets the tone for the entire movie. You get this feeling of like etherealness and, you know, just questioning what is this, what does all this mean? What do you feel about that?
Yeah. I thought this was very weird because it's a dream of him in his spacesuit, and it's in the forest, and you start to wonder. At least I started to wonder, like, is this the place that he's going? Because it doesn't reveal where he's at or if the real world yet. So it's like, is this the place he's headed? Is he gonna wake up? What's going on with this forest? But I don't think that ever gets answered. So
no, he's in his spacesuit walking through a river in a forest, and then he just wakes up real quick. So again, pretty strange. We definitely have to address the whole Czech Republic thing. Not only is it hilarious that we thought it was like NASA and it turned out to be them, but it took me so long to realize that Adam Sandler was supposed to be Czech in this movie.
Yeah, that's because Adam Sandler is playing Adam Sandler as an astronaut.
But like depressed astronaut Adam Sandler.
Yeah, it's like,
it's
you
different.
don't realize it's the Czech Republic until you hear about the Czech Connect.
The Czech Connect. So as I spoke earlier about Adam Sandler going through divorce with his wife, he speaks through this
video and voice calling, basically Zoom.
You guys know those like VR arcade cabinets where you would sit in the entire thing and it would, do the whole, thing. It would be like movie theaters that were real fancy. That's kind of what he's sitting in. It's real ghetto and 80s like. But, yeah, he video chats his wife through it, and he hasn't talked to her in a couple days.
Boy. So, like, he wakes up, and, from, I guess, this dream that he just can't handle, even though it seemed like a nice dream to me. And, he floats around, and...
Bro, as soon as we get into the actual, like, station, the wire work is absolutely insane. I love, like, honestly, the entire cinematography for this whole film needs to be praised.
Oh, yeah. For a Netflix film that was weird in premise and that from the trailers you're just like, I mean, yeah, I guess I'll get a couple of beers or shots and watch this movie. They did put a lot of work into that wire work, and seeing him float around, it really feels like you're in there watching, him as an astronaut do the spacesuit thing. It's very cool. I used to watch those, the International Space Station videos, so it really feels like that when you see him floating around.
I definitely felt a good sense of loneliness too. Obviously that's what they were trying to employ with the first couple scenes, and it definitely hit. I felt it very much. I have to say that the one upside to the entire film is my boy Peter, which is Adam Sandler's Czech NASA handler.
Yeah, Peter's my dude. Like, Peter is like is the anchor of this whole movie.
Yeah, he was putting in work.
Yeah, he was putting in work trying to make sure that that Jakob.
Yeah, that's Adam Sandler's character.
That's Adam Sandler's character. They call him Jacob, but I'm calling him Jakob because that's how it's. Jakob, he keeps Jacob together and watches over him. Peter's a really nice guy. He's well-meaning and he's just doing his job. And I respect a man that's just doing his job in the game. Or a movie.
Like I said earlier, Adam's on a journey. He's 6 months into a 1-year adventure into space to investigate an anomaly and bring some data and or a sample of that anomaly back to Earth. The
Chopra Cloud.
The Chopra Cloud, man. That was my next note. Like, I cannot believe what they called this thing. It looks really cool, and like the design that they chose for it was beautiful, to be honest. It looked great, but I couldn't land with that name. Every single time they spoke it, I was just...
Forget the Chopra.
The Chopra. It sounded like some Zelda stuff. I was not into it.
I did like it, but it just seemed like, he was... when he reported it in, he was saying that he was 6 months out and he was just outside of Jupiter, and there's just this nebula just outside of Jupiter, inside of our solar system, and no one's freaking out about it. Like, the nebulas birth stars, birth stars, and it's inside of our solar system. It did give scale, right? So seeing this beautiful thing just does not give you the right perspective. Well, at least for me, I was like, what's happening? But we get that. We end up getting that more of that information as the movie goes on.
So then we go into his daily routines. It shows him waking up, drinking coffee, eating astronaut food and such, fixing his broken toilet, blase, blase. He does his running routines, which is really cool. It shows him being strapped down to a treadmill because of, gravity and such. So that was kind of cool. After that, we get straight into this dream sequence where Adam Sandler has some sort of bugs crawling up under his skin. And then suddenly, as he looks in the mirror, a tarantula is birthed out of his mouth. So, awesome. Spiders.
Creepy.
What do you think about that, Glue?
Awesome is not the word I would use.
No,
I would use creepy, disturbing, horrifying. It just reminded me of the Amazing Spider-Man where Peter turns into a spider and you see him going through the sink. I can't deal with the arachnophobia that this movie gives me.
There should have been a warning for sure. I mean, we saw the trailers, but
it does not prepare you.
So in the next scene, we find out that Sandler's doing maintenance on the spaceship, and through talking to Peter, we find that it's most of the cameras in the ship have been downed. So that kind of is a little bit of like foreshadowing to some suspicions that come later in the film. This is actually one of the first like funny chuckles I get from Peter and Sandler in this moment where Sandler's telling him this, and this is broken. Peter says, all right, I'll file another report. And then Sandler replies with, I'm sure that'll be very effective. It was quite humorous. I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, these men beefed over some washers for about 20 minutes.
Man, it's a struggle up there in space.
It's a struggle in space. I don't know why they sent that poor man up there with no support.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the Czech Republic was like, listen, we can only afford $3 billion.
Right, you got to refine the resources.
Out here with no support.
I will say that the movie wastes absolutely no time. It jumps kind of right into the whole thing that you've been waiting for right away. It doesn't leave you waiting. You instantly get a call on the Czech Connect from a random entity, this being Paul Dano's character. Sandler freaks out, scares him a little bit. He calls Peter. Peter's like, I don't know what you're talking about. We didn't hear anything. So fast forward a little bit. Sandler wakes up that night. Same thing that happens every single night. His toilet is on the fritz, making a bunch of noise. So he proceeds to go into that area where he finds what, Clue?
A giant spider.
Not just a spider, my friends. A Cthulhu spider. It's got spider-esque features, but with no separate body parts, just one elongated body, meaning it's a spider with a back. It's creepy. It's very, very furry. It doesn't have regular spider legs. At the end of them, it has these little fingy pinchers things, not sharp, but like just little grabbers. And in between its giant curled up squid tentacles, it has a little bitty mouth that it talks through.
And that thing moving is so unnerving.
Especially just floating through space. Because it's so just elegant.
So of course, like any natural human being that's alive, he tries to escape. He tries to get up out of there and get away from giant space spider.
I think it was very funny that he ransacked my man's food first. The first place Adam Sandler goes when he wakes up, he hears a noise. He goes into the food pantry, and when he enters there, a bunch of food's just floating in the G-force, and he puts it all away. And then once you find the spider, you put it together, and you're like, oh wow, this spider was really just ransacking my man's fridge first before he woke him up. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, this spider makes himself right at home.
It was definitely freaky seeing him at first, though. I'm not even gonna lie. Me and Clue ended up watching this twice just to get, a full perspective on what we really thought about it. But the very first time, when you don't know that it's coming, the second that door opens and you see him, it's like damn near a jump scare. It was not pleasant.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So Naturally, Jacob runs the heck away from that, or floats the heck
Yep,
away,
into the
excuse me,
airlock.
into the airlock. And as any rational human being, I guess, would say, he does not panic and check NASA that, hey, there's a giant freaking space spider in my space station. Could you hit it with the contaminants and save me?
Yeah, so they bust it with this literal pest spray that is on the aircraft as a sponsor of the entire space mission called Bomba. And they make Adam Sandler literally say the Bomba slogan before allowing him to decontaminate the ship. But he decontaminates the ship. The spider gets essentially killed, as what we see. He exits out of the airlock and finds that it did not affect the spider at all. The spider erupts with a giant, nasty, slimy sneeze all over the front of his suit, and then they start talking and conversing, and that's really where Paul Dano, who plays the alien spider, really immediately just starts to shine. I will say that this is his movie for sure, even though he's not physically in it. He definitely takes over it.
Oh, he's the absolute vehicle for the entire movie. Like, this spider is he has comedic timing. He's very smart, and I don't know. I end up loving him as much as he creeps me out.
He's so great.
But Paul killed this role. For
Um,
no reason.
There is some size issues with the spider, which is a little strange, but as the movie progresses, he gets bigger, smaller, bigger. And I wonder if that's necessarily a continuity error or a choice on the director, but who's to say? I just, thought it was a little strange. But overall, the spider design is scary. And with that being said, I guess it's a good time to talk about the fact that, I kind of think this is like a Lovecraft film. Think about it. Like, think about the Cthulhu-esque monster. Think about the journeyman. Think about the purple. You know what I mean?
Okay,
the unexplainable. Like, it's very Lovecraftian in its way.
Okay, yeah, I could definitely see that. I never really thought about, like, I honestly, I didn't tie this movie to anything. I thought this was a harebrained idea.
Yeah, I didn't really think that until the second viewing, but for some reason it just struck me immediately. I was just like, this is a Lovecraft movie, like, and I dig it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I dig it a lot. Thinking it from that perspective, I may have to view it another time by
Right?
myself just to really think of it from that perspective. So anyway, after a light lore dump from Giant Spider, telling Jacob basically where he's from, what his deal is. Jacob, naturally, like anyone else, decides, I'm crazy, I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah, he freaks out. He goes to bed. The spider surprisingly leaves him alone, tells him that. He says, all right, I'll leave you be. Go do you. The next morning begins the therapy session part of the movie. And sadly, the majority of it is the rest of the movie. That's kind of like what the whole point of this is. Adam Sandler's going through his divorce. This spider tells him when they first meet in the room that his loneliness intrigued him and drew him towards him. So he's there to try to help him find the root of this loneliness and work through it through his own memories. The spider is some, again, eldritch entity that has been around for millions of years and can psychically talk to him and filter through his dreams almost like a dream walker. It's pretty cool.
Digging into his mind, you see Jacob's relationship with his wife, and you start to see like elements of like how they're not as compatible as he would hope.
Well, yeah, that comes a little bit later.
It comes a little bit later, but you start to see the elements of like the relationship not being perfect.
Yeah, not working out.
And but as a viewer and as the characters, they don't really see what the source of that is as they go into his mind. You start to see kind of like the past of Jacob, like where his mind has been jaded from, and all of the issues that he dealt with as a kid. You kind of see that like Jacob's dad is like some Soviet war criminal or something.
Yeah, that was strange.
That
was a weird. Also, weird. It kept cutting to Adam Sandler being a young child, and it just rips you out the movie because it's some almost Middle Eastern young man playing the younger Sandler, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's supposed to be Czech or something. Like, I will say what the alien calls Sandler is one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Skinny human.
Skinny human. And just the way Dano speaks it is one of the funniest things ever, and just it's probably going to be in my vocabulary for a really long time. I got to say at this point, man, Adam's acting was atrocious in this movie. He took me out so many times, man. Like, it was just so dry and boring and monotone, bland. Like, he could have stepped it up at any moment. He's sitting there asking this alien from another dimension possibly questions about, like, what's this and that. And then he's just asking the most boring, stupid questions. He's just, so what about this? Oh, so what about that? It was terrible, dude. Like, oh my God, it was hard to watch at some points.
Yeah, I think he was the most off-putting part about the movie because it just seemed like what it was, this man was in a room by himself trying to act his butt off.
That's what it felt like.
In the Adam Sandler sense, which is usually pretty goofy and off-putting, but it's like he has no one to bounce his goofiness off of or his intrigue off of. So it's just like, Adam, give me something. Man. Give me anything. You're in a space movie, dude. I didn't know about it for sure. It was weird with his acting.
The alien's obsession with Nutella was adorable. He said that it tasted like some flowers from his homeworld or something like that. I thought that was a really cool touch and like just a light little, little lore cherry on top. The alien also explains that the cloud, the Chopra cloud, that Adam is investigating is the beginning of the universe, essentially. It is, again, he doesn't really get into it too much. The movie's a very vague kind of, what did you think of it, kind of one of those movies, which is, cool for some people, but I prefer a more direct explanation for some things. But I wanted to ask you, do you think the cloud is like God?
Yeah, the Alpha and Omega. That's
exactly for sure. That's kind of what I felt. Or especially watching Futurama and it being one of my favorite shows, they depict God as being this just ethereal cloud that is ever knowing of everything. And that's, spoilers towards the very end of this. That's kind of what it ends up being. But, we'll get to that a little later. But I really think that's what they were kind of interpreting with that. I hate the questions that Adam asked, the alien.
So eventually, they get pretty close, and Jacob kind of asks.
Hold on, I got some way more than that.
Oh, you got something? Oh,
yeah, you talking about already getting to the cloud? I got a couple more. I'll run through them really quick. So, it's really funny that the one of the main reasons that the alien also explains that it came was because it was attracted to the rhythmic hums of Adam Sandler's toilet being broken. That was pretty freaking funny.
So funny.
We get a scene where one single particle of the Chopra cloud slowly starts to float through Adam Sandler's vehicle or ship, and he kind of freaks out. Are we good? Clue's checking if we're recording right now. We had a technical issue earlier. We're still running. Cool. We're still with you guys. I told y'all we'd work all this video stuff out in the last video, man. What'd I tell you? Anyone who's from the Doom video, man, drop me a motherfucking comment down below. I appreciate y'all.
Right on, guys. Go ahead.
So, okay. He's chasing this little particle of the Chopra cloud through his ship because that's his whole mission. He's trying to capture it. He empties out a little screw container, pops it up in there really quick, but it instantly floats right through the side of the container. And then he chases it. It floats through a wall and then floats outside the ship. And the alien explains that you cannot contain it, skinny human. I thought that was just a really cool touch. It's something that we don't understand, that we can't comprehend, and nothing that we can physically attain.
Okay, so we don't have to call him the alien or giant spider.
I like calling
they eventually Jacob asks the spider what his name is, and he kind of explains that they don't really have in their species, they don't really have a need for the names or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of hash out a name for him, and they decide on Hanush.
Hanush.
Yeah, I really like that name for the spider. I want a buddy named Hanush now.
I'm just saying, being a fan of doing so much with like the Listen Agaid and stuff like that, it definitely made me feel pretty cool to just be like Hanush. It's cool. Never heard it before. I like it. I dig it. So yeah, getting closer to the Chopper cloud, like Clue was talking about, the whole ship starts to malfunction. Things start to break down. Gets a little crazy.
We can't get a hold of Chet Connect.
Yeah, we can't call Peter. Somebody call Peter. Through a quick, slight more forced therapy session with Hanush, the alien, he finds out that Adam Sandler is actually the one that sucks. He's been
real bad.
He's been diving into his mind this entire time, going through his memories with him and his wife, and thinking that, what causes this loneliness that I felt from miles and miles away through space that drew me to you? What could cause that? And as he finally got to the root of all the issues, he realized that Sandler was the cause of that. He was the reason why he was so lonely. It was self-inflicted. And he instantly said, well then, Captain, I'll leave you to your mission. And he just floats right up out the ship and disappears. But not before Adam Sandler tries to touch him, which earlier in the movie when Hanush first appeared, he told Sandler, do not touch me.
It is not customary.
It's not customary for my kind. The body is sacred. It should not be desecrated. Don't touch me. So when he goes to leave, Sandler freaks out because he's lonely, goes to grab him, and Hanush freaking slams him up against the wall and said, I told you, do not touch me, skinny human. And then, yeah, he disappears for a little bit. This is kind of like that forced third act conflict that every movie goes through, where it's like the start of the movie is the team getting together, the second act is the mission being formed, and then the beginning of the third act is everyone getting in a fight, separating, and then by the end of the movie getting back together because of like friendship and we need to be together. Like, it felt a little forced because I will say almost immediately the alien comes right back.
Yeah. After letting him sulk for all of 30 minutes in movie time and all of like 5 minutes in run time, that forced conflict, it definitely did seem weird, but it added to Hanush's like his motivations from the beginning. You start to wonder, why the heck is this alien that said he was watching all of Earth eventually and just decided to check this one guy's loneliness. There's a lot of loneliness on Earth. He could have watched a little bit closer, but this guy is intriguing.
Technically, he is the most lonely person in the world.
Yeah, now it's like now it's. You could have guessed that. Why is he lonely? Oh, he hasn't seen another human being in 6 months.
Hey, so the main reason that the alien came back to Sandler was apparently he's dying from an infection from the flood.
Yeah. Like, something worse than the flood.
Yeah.
He kind of alludes to this earlier in the movie, that's what happened to his species, and that's why he literally jumped galaxy. Apparently he's a Nexus being.
He can go through wormholes and stuff.
Yeah, he's a Nexus being, so something. So he literally jumps through a wormhole and decides, hey, he's Rick. He's Rick. He's like, I'm
gonna switch dimensions real quick.
He's like, Universe 3892. And I messed that one up.
So it's this like. It's like bugs. It's like these weird bugs that burrow inside of their kind and eat them from the inside out, and they use their psychic abilities to suppress them as long as they can until they're overcome. It was really sad when Adam Sandler looked at him and he was like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And then this kind of proves my point about Sandler asking stupid questions instead of poignant questions to a freaking alien or dimensional being.
You never asked about me.
He says, "You never asked about me, man. You didn't. I told you a couple things and you didn't seem interested." Like. It was just pretty sad, but this is also the moment where the alien and Sandler finally hug, and it was also as equally creepy as it was heartwarming. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I know, but I was desensitized. I was desensitized to it because of him putting him against the wall earlier. Yeah. I was like, you know what? I've seen enough horrifying things over the last 90 minutes. I can deal with it.
It was a cute moment, I'm not gonna lie, because hypothetically that meaning that it was the very first time the alien had ever touched anything ever. A person, a living object. Like, that is wild.
It's cute.
It's cute. It's adorable.
So anyway, they go and they're about to experience the beginning.
Bruce, I gotta say, his fingies creep me out.
Oh, the pinchers.
When he was holding just the little.
You keep the pinchers.
So yeah, they finally get to the cloud. Ship starts to break down. Alien starts getting fucked up. You know what I'm saying? He ends up being like, shit, I can't control my phasing Danny Phantom powers. And he just slides up out the ship. And then Adam Sandler freaks out and he's like, I'm going to go save my homeboy.
Yeah, so since the ship is breaking down and it's entering the Chopper cloud, Check NASA and Peter is deciding to like say, hey man, you got to get out of here. You got to forget the Chopper cloud, man. Forget the Chopper.
Like I said, the ship's breaking down completely.
So they want him to get the heck out of there, but he's like, no man, I made a friend. I'm going to go save that friend. So he grabs a ball containing a substance and decides, hey, I'm gonna go get in my spacesuit and I'm gonna go save my spider friend.
Yeah, he grabs some of the Bomba bug spray that we talked about earlier, and I guess his theory, I didn't get this in the first time we watched it, but he grabs the bug spray to try to kill the bug as it's eating the alien. It's sweet but disturbing. I thought he grabbed it initially to use it as like a jetpack style thing to himself around, but yeah, he spacewalks, saved the bugs. So we get a flashback of Adam Sandler when he's a kid and he's drowning and his dad saves him. But when his dad saves him, the camera cuts from Adam Sandler drowning underwater to his dad standing on top of the water in knee-high water.
I'm talking
as
like
he lifts Adam Sandler out of practically a puddle.
I'm talking like the size of a 1-year-old.
Like, it was the equivalent of Bruce Willis at the end of Split. I was like, what is happening right now? Stand up.
Stand up.
Just stand up. Like,
just put your hands at the bottom of the water and you might just get
on your hands and knees.
Do some push-ups, bro. You'll be all right.
Lift your neck up. Like, I was insulted.
But while he was drowning, I swear this was the biggest lake.
I will say that, like, once they enter the Chopper cloud, like we were saying earlier, it reveals that the entire entity is just time, space, beginning, ending, everything you know, everything you don't. It is everything. So that's why I suggested that maybe it's like what they're interpreting as God. The ending message kind of felt a little hollow when the alien was speaking to Adam before he passed away, where he was saying that, everything is nothing, so it is as it should be.
Well,
blah,
yeah,
blah,
the universe
blah.
is as it should be.
It was a little like friends are good type of message. I just didn't really like it. I realized at this moment at the very end of the movie that the freaking alien has Sonic teeth, but not like old Sonic, creepy, bad Sonic.
Yeah, like the trailer
teeth.
before we outraged Sonic teeth. It was weird.
It's scary, bro.
But I mean, he was already creepy the whole movie.
I
by that point, I was just like, we have a giant spider. We can't get any worse here.
I have to say that at this moment when he did finally pass the alien, it was sad.
Oh yeah, he did not feel good, Mr. Stark.
So Adam Sandler reaches in. They're all spacewalking, flying through the cloud. It's getting all crazy, space warp and stuff. Sandler reaches in his pack and pulls out the Nutella, and he hands it to the alien.
Hazelnut.
And the alien grabs it. Sandler says, "I know you're about to die." Alien says, "It is coming soon." Eats the Nutella, smiles, and just says, "Tastes like home." And then, like, the most visceral death I've ever seen starts to take place.
It's like watching termites go after a tree.
It was disturbing. Like, from the inside out, his skin just started rippling, and then these bugs from his nose and eye sockets just started bursting out and consuming him completely until he just faded away into space bugs.
Sucked into the void of the beginning to be born again, I think.
Oh, that was actually a really cool thing that I did write down. So as he does fully dissipate into I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark, little particles of the Chopper cloud dissipate out of him. And he did state earlier in the movie that the reason he knows what the cloud is because he tasted it upon his tongue when he was just, a baby. So, like, he was like a part of the universe is a part of him kind of metaphor thing. That was pretty cool. And like when you die, you give that back to whatever that higher power or universe is. Like that part I really liked. He comes out of the cloud, Adam Sandler, and is saved by the Korean space people that were following him the whole movie, trying to beat him to the cloud. I thought that was a little honky.
Yeah, when he first, for context, when he first checks in with Check Connect and Check NASA.
Check.
They talk about how they're beefing with the South Koreans, and of course this man gets saved by the South Koreans.
By the Koreans, because at the end when I first watched it, bro, I didn't actually understand who I was looking at. I was like, and who are these people? But then after the second time, in context, I was like, oh, it's obviously the South Koreans that Peter was talking about earlier. And yeah, that's the end of it. That's Spaceman, you guys. Netflix. I enjoyed most of it. Like I said, the divorce aspect and plot line really kind of took me out of it a little bit. It wasn't really what I'm there for, but I'm like a dude. So like, again, not really what I was there for, but still a grand movie all in all. And I really enjoyed it. What did you think, Lou?
Oh yeah, no, I think this was a good movie. The whole relationship thing, it was the crux of the movie. It wasn't my favorite part of it, but I do think this is worth a watch just to watch Adam Sandler suffer through this mania that he's going through. I really like Spaceman. Give this thing a shot. It's got a thumbs up for me.
One last thing I do want to talk about that I wanted to discuss with you. I saw online after, consolidating our thoughts and review that a lot of the debate of this movie is Hanush real or not? And I was like, I never thought that one time while watching the movie, of course he's real. And the debate online is swaying completely the other direction, and I just completely disagree. Like,
I mean,
of course he's real.
They touched, right?
He slammed him against the wall. That's the only, and he spit all over his spacesuit. I just think that's ridiculous.
Like, I would have thought that before, but they ended up touching. Unless they're thinking that like the whole Chopra cloud thing didn't happen.
Well, I mean, maybe that's kind of possible too, but I think it's just ridiculous personal opinion. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments if you've seen the movie, or even if you just sat here and listened to us ramble about it. Do you think that Hanush the alien is real? Do you think Sandler's just gone crazy because he's up there lonely and he doesn't get calls from his wife anymore? Who's to say? We don't know. These are just our thoughts. What I will say is that I've been thinking about adding a new style of scoring at the end of each review. We should do something I feel kind of like good movie, bad movie, just a movie. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, that's fine.
That way we get, a range. We're not being too critical because we're obviously not critics. We're just two dudes watching a movie and enjoying it and sharing our thoughts with the world. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one a good movie. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I'm going to go with good movie.
Yeah, good movie, bro. You know what I'm saying? I liked it. I had a good time. And again, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, check this one out. Good movie.
Definitely. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like, subscribe button, especially if you're new. We really appreciate it, guys. The channel's finally growing just a little bit, and we got a bunch more coming for you soon. So I appreciate you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Peace. Woo!